We did it. I finally started a podcast. I've been talking about it for so many years now. Jeez. I finally started my podcast. I got all my notes right here. It's the real deal. You know, I got notes. That's how serious I am about this. That's why, if I'm glancing down here, it's not because I'm awkwardly avoiding eye contact with you guys. It's because I'm looking at my notes set up on a computer tower because I don't have the set done yet, as you can see. Right now, all we have is Venom with the like a turd in the wind line drawn right there. Each episode, this is going to change to something else. I'm trying to put up sound foam, which looks like this. Oh, stretch. Which looks like this. I have like 1 or 2 panels right now, and like 20 more are coming in soon, so I need to set those up, but I wanted to get this out first more than anything. And the podcast set will grow and grow as we go on. I'm also trying to get a wider lens so I can, if I decide to have more guests in here, I can fit all of them into the frame. I have a gun. It's specifically, I don't know what it's called, the Red Riding Hood. I don't know, man. It's the gun from Christmas Story. That's it. I have a slate, yeah, and then I got some beautiful lights and this beautiful neon orange wall that is totally messing up the entire color scheme, but whatever. So this is the Opinionated podcast. I forgot to introduce everything. This is the Opinionated podcast. Welcome. It's going to be like this for another hour or so. So strap in. This is my new podcast. I might as well just jump right into what we're going to be talking about today. What the podcast schedule is and how this is all going to work real quick. I just want to state really quickly, if you don't want to watch this podcast, you don't have to. I get it. I'm not going to be upset. I'm not really assuming that a lot of people are going to want to hear me talk for an hour. So, and I'm just doing the video in case I want to show something and I want it to be shown on video. You do not have to watch the video. You can just plug in your earbuds while you're doing the dishes or something. That's how I listen to my podcast. You do not need to sit down and watch this. I don't want you to, because I want you to enjoy it. So this is also going to be on SoundCloud, I think. I'm going to try to get it on Spotify, which I hear is difficult, but I'm going to try to get on Spotify. I don't think it's going to be on iTunes. I'm not at that level yet. This is a very basic startup podcast. We're going to be talking about movies on here every time. This podcast is going to be every 2 weeks, and every time I see a movie, I'm going to be reviewing it, whether I have something a lot to say about it or whether I have little to say about it. A perfect example of this other week's episode is Venom. We're going to be talking about Venom a lot because I have a lot to say about it. And there's 4 other movies I want to talk about, or 3 other movies I want to talk about, and we're going to be very briefly going over those. So, right now, what I want to say is what this podcast is. This is called the Opinionated Podcast, and it's right in the name. It's just me and a couple other guests. This is probably a rare time where it's just going to be me right now, because I wanted to do the startup alone so I could get my bearings and all that. Next week, let's go over the schedule really quick. I know I'm rambling on, and that's something I have to work on, but the schedule is going to be every other Sunday, unless I decide to change it. Again, this is the first episode, so a lot of it is going to be me rambling, but right now this is every other Sunday, so this will be uploaded on the 28th, because I'm recording this on the 22nd, and it's going to be uploaded on the 28th, and the next episode will be uploaded 2 weeks after that, or a week after that, depending on how I decide to film these episodes, because I want to be able to do it to a schedule. Because with this new YouTube schedule I'm doing, I need to make sure that I'm actually sticking to it. So, every other Sunday, every other Sunday morning, specifically at 8 a.m., because I feel the best time to listen to podcasts is on a Sunday morning. That's when I listen to all mine. I see it newly uploaded. I know when it's going to be uploaded, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. I plug it in. I mow my neighbor's lawn, which is something that I do every week. I listen to my podcasts. It's a gay old time. And yes, I am talking about the sexuality. Today we are going to be talking about what the podcast is, we're going to briefly go over the schedule again. Current events. This is the big one. We're going to be talking about Venom, A Star is Born, Bad Times at the El Royale, First Man, which I'm very excited about. We're going to be talking about Too Unlikely, what festivals it's gotten into, and there's a other short film I made that isn't released on Shizard Studios this year called The Making Of. I want to briefly go over that story because a lot of people have been asking me what that is because I've been posting about it when I went to go see it because I went to an IMAX theater to go see one of my short films playing, and a lot of people asking me, is this Too Unlikely? And it wasn't. Too Unlikely has gotten into another festival, so it will be playing in theaters. But that's not yet. I just want to clarify all of the short films I've done this year and all of that. And then future projects. We have a huge thing coming up, and I have some great announcements because we are starting to make Shizard Studios videos again. That's a mouthful. Jesus. Shizard Studios videos again? It's Shizard Studios videos again, which are going to be comedy skits. I'm realizing I'm saying a lot right now, but which are going to be comedy skits, this podcast, and we are releasing a Too Unlikely documentary in just a short couple of days. Again, I'm recording this on the 22nd, so it will be done either right before this podcast is released or right after this podcast is released. Anyway, I will be having guests on here, especially for the next episode, and every other week I will have a guest on here. Mostly we're going to be talking about movies I see, any current events that are happening, short films that I'm making, YouTube videos that we're making, how we made them, opinions, hence the Opinionated podcast. And, yeah, so I guess we might as well hop right into our first topic since it's about that time. I want to save Venom for a little bit because, build up to the big discussion. So yeah, let's start with A Star is Born. So the movies I saw in the month of October, as far as the 22nd goes, I still plan on seeing mid-90s Jonah Hill's directorial debut, and Halloween, the new Halloween movie. That movie's been doing really well as of right now, so I want to go see it. I haven't seen the original Halloween, which I know is a sin to a lot of people, but no, I have not seen any of the Halloween movies, and I'm going to watch the original before I go see the new one, so don't worry. I haven't seen a whole lot of classic horror movies, even because horror movies, they've always not been my thing. I've just recently started to get into them, especially with Hereditary coming out. I've just started to get in horror movies, and I've actually really enjoyed the genre. I made a short film called Within. Let's not talk about it. I'm not a huge fan of Within. I didn't understand what horror meant, and it's just, I don't think it's something that I gravitate enough towards to continue making. So let's not talk about Within. We are going to be talking about A Star is Born, Bad Times, and First Man, and then we'll get to Venom, and then we'll get to future projects. So, A Star is Born. This is a film starring Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, directed by Bradley Cooper, and is the fourth remake of this movie. A Star is Born, fourth remake. Jesus. It's in theaters. I went to go see it with my mom the 2 days before it came out because we got early access, and I really enjoyed it, surprisingly, because I usually don't like these types of movies. These mainstream movies about a guy who plays a guitar and falls in love with a girl and all those love stories that they quite don't grasp the feeling of love enough. But this one absolutely did. One of my favorite movies is Her, the movie where Joaquin, I don't know how to say his name, falls in love with his operating system, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and I love to see a good love story. And when I saw A Star is Born, I was like, this is great. I have a couple issues with the movie, and I don't think it's one of the best of the year, which a lot of people have been saying it's one of the best of the year. I think it's one of the better ones of the year of 2018 so far. It is not in my top 10, though, and I'll tell you why. A Star is Born, I'll start with the cons, and then we'll end with the pros, because I always like doing that. Keep things positive at the end. Cons. The cinematography was awesome, but again, that's not a con. I'm getting to something. The cinematography was awesome. I just thought it was a bit void of style, You didn't have any specific shots. It was all just handheld, moving around with a shoulder rig, which is fine. I get that's what Bradley Cooper was going for. Make it sort of like a documentary type movie, even though it's not. Give it the feel of a documentary, but keep it close up too. There was a lot of close ups, which I guess worked, but there was something about it that I was really just wanting to see more style. There's a specific scene. Lady Gaga goes out for the first time and they're singing the song "Shallow," which is a huge song now, and I really like that song. And she does this over her eyes as she's singing. And I was like, oh, it would be awesome if she just kept her eyes like this the entire time. It was just centered and it was slowly pushing in. And then once she gets to that really high note, she like slowly lowers them down or something. I thought that would have been pretty neato. But it was just things. It was all my problems from this movie stem from the fact that it is Bradley Cooper's first movie. And while it is a great movie and a really impressive directorial debut, it just didn't have the distinct voice and personality that I thought it could have from Bradley Cooper. That being said, that's my only con. My pro, I really, really like this movie. I went to go see it with my mom. It almost brought me to tears, but I'm a cold-hearted soul, so it didn't. I really like the writing. The script was phenomenal. It just went along really fast. You understood the characters. The characters were fleshed out. You understood where they were coming from and their motivations, and they really just made you understand that these characters, why they're doing the things they are, how the rehab is either affecting him or not affecting Bradley Cooper's character. It was really great. One of the problems I had came from the writing was the structure. The first act is perfection. Oh, if you just watch the first 40 minutes of the movie and then turn it off because it's just perfect. And then the second act kind of screws that all up, and then the third act redeems it. So the first act was perfect. I thought it did a great job at just throwing you into the story because it just starts with him meeting this woman. It's not this whole, they build up both of their lives and then they show it. They show both of their lives and then they meet up in the first 20 minutes. And I loved that, just throwing us in there and letting us interpret their backstories for the rest of the movie. That was awesome. And the first act is just them getting together, them getting to know each other. And I thought that was really great. And after that, it would just kind of lost its way a bit. It just kind of became a bit messy towards the second act. There were scenes that only lasted like 15 seconds, which was really strange. There was a couple subplots that went nowhere. Like, there was a subplot with Bradley Cooper's characters, I forget his name, Jackson Maine. Jackson Maine's brother and his dad. And I don't even remember what it was about. It just kind of went nowhere, which is upsetting because the movie could have been trimmed down, I think, about 15 minutes, because it's a long movie. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I thought it could have been trimmed down 15 minutes and been perfect, been flawless, because it was too long. There was too much junk. There was too many things that were I just found unnecessary, so just cut all those out, and then boom, perfect movie. The absolute highlight of this movie are the performances. Bradley Cooper was so good, and that Texan accent is just enough to do some things. But contrary to popular belief, I think contrary to popular opinion, the star of the show, pun intended, is Lady Gaga. She floored me. I don't get, you have an actor who's coming from so much acting experience, Bradley Cooper, and then you have Lady Gaga, who is barely any acting experience, mostly songwriting and performing, but no real narrative acting experience. And she steals the show. It's insane. They're both extremely good, and they both deserve every amount of recognition they've been given. But there's this one scene in particular that even made me laugh. And me and my mom were watching it, and there's a scene where Lady Gaga finally goes to visit Bradley Cooper's character after weeks and weeks of rehab, and he starts breaking down crying about how he's so sorry for everything he's done. And it shows a close-up of his face for a long time. Not a single... Jesus. Excuse me. Not a single tear off his face, which I'm not one of those people that thinks actor is good if they can cry on cue. You know, that's something a lot of people can do. It's not easy, but I don't think it cements you as a good actor that only. But it's important that in a scene, if you're emphasizing on the fact that a character is crying, they're going, you need to have some sort of tear roll down their eye, you know? It was insane. And I was looking at this, and my mom looks at me, and she's like, no tears. And I was like, yeah, I know, this is kind of embarrassing. The entire rest of the scene was perfect. It was just that one thing. You needed at least one tear. That you could even add a fake tear at that point. Just whatever. I know it's not genuine, but whatever is best for the scene, you need to add there. And then it cuts to Lady Gaga, and she's just like, it's okay. It's okay. One tear just rolls down her face, and she's just saying it's okay. And I was like, whoa. You can't show him up like that. That's just kind of mean at that point. I look back now, and I was just like, what is going on? And there's these two other people that just throw their arms up like, what? It was so funny. You had to have been there. No, but Lady Gaga steals the show. She embodies this character so well, because it is, in fact, her life story put into a movie character. It's adapted, of course, but it's very similar to a life story that people told her she wasn't pretty enough and that her nose was too big. And I know that's from the original movie, but again, Lady Gaga has had all these people tell her that she wasn't pretty enough, so she dressed up in these masks and performed, and that's where it kind of twisted a bit. In this movie, she doesn't dress up in any masks or anything like that, but she does all these certain things where she rises to fame, but the movie's not really about that specifically, which I thought was a bit strange. The movie kind of fumbles around a bit, like I'm fumbling around right now. It's you think it's about Lady Gaga's character's rise to fame, but then it kind of throws that out. Then you think it's about Jackson Maine's rehab and his whole alcoholic story, which I think that's what the movie's truly about, is this relationship between a star and a fallen star who is now in rehab trying to deal with his alcoholism. I think that's what the movie's really about. But they give you like 3 different plots all going on at the same time, which it feels like 3 different movies are happening all at the same time, which, again, it was a bit messy, and we didn't have this problem in the first act, and it became less present in the third act, but it became the most present in the second act. So, again, going back to the structure, it's just kind of all over the place. But other than that, I thought the movie was great. Amazing performances from both Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. It was truly surprising. This movie surprised me so much. Great writing, great story beats. I will not spoil the ending, because I don't want to get into spoilers for anything except for Venom, because I want you to be able to go out and see this movie. But the ending was great. It almost had me in tears. It had my mom in tears. She loves this movie. It's her favorite of the year, I think. She was crying, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm kind of a soulless monster then. But it almost got me. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but there's character choices that happen that are they're built up and they're worthy. And I guess I'm being pretty vague because I really want you to see it for yourself. But they're very vague. No, I'm very vague. They're very understandable of why this character is doing what he or she is. And then the aftermath of how the other characters react to that is just realistic. And it just felt real. And I know I'm being vague, but that's because I want you to see it for yourself. I really love the ending of this movie. It almost got me. Yeah. So, A Star Is Born, I would say a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. And again, this isn't my type of movie either. And saying as it's that high of a rating, it's just saying something. I'm really surprised by this. Bradley Cooper did a great job. The people who wrote it did a great job. And Lady Gaga did a phenomenal job. Before I move on, I guess I realize now nobody knows how I rate movies. So if I say like 7 out of 10, a lot of people are going to think that's either low or too high or too low. So let me just briefly go over how I rate movies. It's a scale of 1 to 10, of course. 1 being there's nothing redeemable about this movie. 10 being I find this movie perfect. It's probably 10s are very rare. Those are usually saved for my favorite movies. I think it's a great scale. 5 is it's just okay, and then 6 is decent. 7 is solid, really great. 8 is like really, really great. 9 is almost perfect, and then 10 is again favorite movie. That's 5 is mediocre. 4 is just bad. 3 is terrible. 2 is there's almost nothing redeemable about this movie, and it was just a bad time. And then 1 is just, like, oh God, this was the worst thing I've ever seen. Yeah. So 7, it was great. It's closer to an 8 than a 6. I would say 7.5, but I don't do 0.5s or anything like that. But 7, it just took maybe an 8. I don't know, 7 or 8. It doesn't matter. It's a number. It doesn't matter at all. So next is a movie I truly enjoy. Bad Times at the El Royale. I'm very excited to talk about this movie, and let's just hop right into it. I don't have any notes for any of these movies, which is why I'm kind of rambling a bit. But besides Venom, I have lots of notes for Venom. But just stay with me here. Bad Times in the El Royale is such a fun movie. It's so fun. It's really well shot. It's really well acted. Besides a couple of people, the story is interesting and engaging while being a bit messy. It's kind of it's a miracle that it wasn't a complete mess. It was just a bit messy, but overall it's a really fun story. It's a really fun plot. I love a good murder mystery. It's when I watched Murder on the Orient Express, which is a movie that came out last year, which is a remake of a old murder mystery that came out years and years ago. You might have heard of it, Murder on the Orient Express, Daisy Ridley, a bunch of people. I did not like that movie one bit. I didn't think it kept the mystery very well because I guessed it halfway through the movie. I don't know. Nothing really gravitated towards me in that movie. In this one, however, this one was a lot of fun. You had campy violence, which it reminded me a lot of a Quentin Tarantino movie, which is a good and bad thing. It felt like the guy who directed this is Drew Goddard. He is the showrunner of Daredevil, which is a Netflix show that I've yet to watch, which I've been told that I should watch, so I think I will. But Drew Goddard is a really talented director, and when I heard that he was directing this, I was like, oh, I thought this was like Tarantino or Coen Brothers or something. It's not as good as those two directors, but Drew Goddard did a really great job. Going in first with, again, the cons. It doesn't feel like this movie is extremely original, but it feels like it does things that other movies have already done better. This movie is very similar to Pulp Fiction. Not plot-wise or anything, but just in its tone and its kinda in its characters and the way it's shot, just in some of the story elements. There's, especially with, I forget what it's called, but the golden box or something. In Pulp Fiction, there's a golden box and you never see what's in it. And in this, there's a film and you never see what's on the film. So similar things like that, similar characters, all that fun stuff. This movie doesn't do anything better than Pulp Fiction, is what I'm saying. This movie doesn't do anything better than Kill Bill as far as the violence goes. This movie doesn't do anything better than a number of murder mysteries. I'm blanking. I can't think of any, but this movie doesn't do any of those elements better. That being said, I love all of those movies, and I love this movie. I have a lot of problems with this movie, especially the structure. It's nothing exceptional, It's just fun. If you're looking for a fun time at the El Royale, you should see this movie because I really enjoyed it. Chris Hemsworth, I was extremely excited for him because I always thought him as a villain could be great. And then Ghostbusters 2016 came along and ruined that opportunity for him. But then he comes along in this movie, and he's really good. He's really good. I didn't think he was developed enough. His character should have been developed a little bit more. And I'm gonna go a bit into spoilers with this movie because there's just so much happening, and I can't be too vague. But so spoiler warning for this movie. 3, 2, 1. Go down in the description. There are time codes if you want to skip to the end where I don't talk about spoilers for this movie. Go ahead. But just for all those who are skipping, this movie's a 7 out of 10. I love it. Well, I like it. So go to the description, skip to the next one, which is First Man, if you don't want to hear spoilers for this movie. But there's so much happening, and I do not want to be vague. Chris Hemsworth's character is Billy Lee. He is a cult leader, I think. That's what I got out of it, is that he's a cult leader. He's a big ol' hunk of a man who leads this cult of little girls fighting each other for who gets to sleep with him. So it's all sorts of messed up. And they show one scene of this, of Dakota Johnson and her sister joining this cult, and Dakota Johnson having her worries, but the sister is like so gravitated towards this Chris Hemsworth, because who wouldn't be? I mean, look at it, this man's abs and his eyes. I'm not gay. You see them, he fights this other little girl, or she fights, not he. Dakota Johnson's sister fights this other little girl to sleep with Chris Hemsworth's character. It's all messed up, and we only get one scene of that. And I thought it would have been really great to see more of Chris Hemsworth's character, because at the end, the third act of the movie, he comes to the El Royale, where all the other characters have been the entire movie, and it's supposed to be this big moment, Chris Hemsworth is coming, oh no, he's gonna kill us all, which you get a glimpse of that. You get a glimpse of what that could have been. You see him walking in the rain as Can't Take My Eyes Off You plays. Oh, I love that song. But anyway, and I was looking at this moment, I was like, this would be so much better if we had some better understanding of who his character is, some sort of scene. But then again, the movie would have been longer, because this is a 2-hour and 20-minute movie, another very long movie. But maybe just trim down some of the fat and add some more Chris Hemsworth in, develop it a bit more, or just go ahead and make the movie longer. I don't know what the studios were saying to you, Drew Goddard or whatever. Go ahead and make the movie longer. I was having such a fun time, I don't care. I didn't want it to end. But let's go into the plot. 7 or 6 strangers show up at the El Royale, a hotel where you can either stay in Nevada or California. Cool. It's a real place that exists, I believe, or it's based off of a real place that exists. And truly what was happening is that there's one person working there. I forget what his name was. Miles Miller. There's one person working there. He's a kid. And he goes down there, and he's an ex-Vietnam soldier who has killed 123 people. So he has seen some stuff. Miles Miller spies on these people through windows. You can actually see this in the trailer, which I was so confused by. Why would you spoil your movie in your trailer? The trailer is very spoilery. Do not watch those trailers. They're super spoilery. They're really well edited, but they're super spoilery. I gotta move around in this chair a lot. This character, Miles Miller, he can look in through windows, and he can see what these people are doing. He can spy on them. There's even a camera in there, so he can film people, and hence the film later that you never see what's on is in. And he just films all these people for their management. They're spying on all these people because it's a pretty popular hotel, so a lot of famous people, wink wink, come in, and that wink wink will be justified later when you wait to hear what I'm talking about. And they all come in, 6 people, John Hamm, Dakota Johnson, Jeff Bridges, who is a priest, but not really, this black singer lady, Dakota Johnson, 50 Shades of Grey lady, John Hamm, who's been in everything, and if I'm forgetting anybody, am I forgetting anybody? No. Anyway, but the plot, I'm not going to go through all the plot because it's too much to unpack. I think you should just go see the movie if you really want to know all of it. But a whole bunch of twists and turns happen. Everybody's killing each other. All these things happen. Chris Hemsworth's character comes in. It's revealed that the priest guy is not a priest. and they all sit around and they all talk and they play roulette. Chris Hemsworth forces them to play roulette, but everybody dies. So many twists and turns. They all get out with the money at the end, and they never tell you what is on the film. I believe it's JFK sexing up Marilyn Monroe. That's probably what was on the, or what was it? Was that her name? Wait, was that who? I don't know. Whoever JFK did the dirty with, and was scandalous with, if you know what I mean. But anyway, there's violence in this movie. It's a rated R blockbuster, which is awesome. Always love to see those. And there's violence, and it is great. It just adds so much to the movie. It makes it more engaging and fun to watch. And I'll go into a whole violence in movies debate another time when I have a guest on, because I would actually like to talk to another person about that sort of thing, see what their side of the story is. But for me, I like seeing violence in movies when it is justified, when it is only used to enhance the story. An example of a movie that doesn't use it to enhance the story is Saw. And I'm fine with Saw. Go ahead. It's just not my type of thing, I don't think it's, disgusting and they should not make those movies. It's just not my thing. It just seems like they're just doing gore for the sake of doing gore. For me, it's whenever, in a Quentin Tarantino movie, when it's campy and it's fun and it's meant to just show the realism of something, go for it. When your whole movie is based around it, it's just, it's not my thing. Anyway, Bad Times at the Royale, 7 out of 10. I really enjoy it. It has one of the best soundtracks of the year. I love the music. Love it. And I love how classic Hollywood it felt. It feels like a classic movie. I know it's not going to become a classic movie, but it really feels like a classic murder mystery, which is my favorite part about it. Moving on to First Man. First Man is probably one of the best movies of the year, if not the best. It is fantastic. I loved it so much. I'm not going to get into spoilers because there's really not a whole lot to spoil anyway. I'm going to keep this brief because I want you to go see the movie. But I really don't have any cons with this movie. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I don't have any problems with it. Just besides the fact that this movie stars Ryan Gosling, who is one of my favorite actors. He is just amazing in everything he's in. Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite movies. La La Land is one of my favorite movies. He's great in everything. Everything that I've seen him in, he's great, because I heard Only God Forgives is sucky, but we'll see. Ryan Gosling is an extremely talented man. He's a very quiet man, too, which is why this is the perfect role for him, because First Man, directed by Damien Chazelle of La La Land and Whiplash, directing fame, which are two of my favorite movies of all time, makes this grounded movie about such a grand topic. This movie follows Neil Armstrong's trip to the moon. That's a huge deal, and the whole movie could have been this insane blockbuster with this spectacle effects like gravity, but it wasn't. It was so much just about Neil Armstrong's character. It was a quiet movie that was it was a lot of people talking and arguing and then testing this spaceship, and it was just Neil Armstrong's struggle to get to the moon with his family and all this holding his hand, and it was hard for him to let go. It's such a compelling story by screenwriter Josh Singer. He does some great screenplays, and Damien Chazelle is one of the best directors out there working today. So it's awesome to see all three of these people, Ryan Gosling, Josh Singer, and Damien Chazelle, work together to make such a great movie. My only problem with this movie is that I didn't connect with it as much as I did La La Land and Whiplash. And that's it. And that's not even really a fair criticism, because that has nothing to do with the movie. That's just my experience watching the movie. But this movie is kind of perfect. Technically, there's really no problems with it. The music was a bit dodgy. At times it was awesome, and at times it was just okay. But that's about it. This movie's kind of perfect. It's really well shot. It does these zooms, it looks a lot like a documentary. Again, like A Star is Born, but this time they actually zoom the camera in, which is something you don't see in movies a whole lot. Real zooms. It's shot on film, and it looks really good, and it really kind of embodies this vintage I forget when it was. I think it was 60s, 1960s, 50s, or 60s. This 1960s look. Claire Foy is Neil Armstrong's wife in the movie. She is fantastic, and Ryan Gosling steals the show. He is probably the best performance in the year, up there with Bradley Cooper, and I think he's better than Bradley Cooper because he's just so quiet. And there's this one scene in particular. If you know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it is history, and apparently this movie sticks to history pretty well. But again, not going to spoil anything because I did not know any of this story at all. I knew that Neil Armstrong went to the moon. That's it. I did not know anything else about this Neil Armstrong story. And what I hear is that he goes to the moon, and that's it, But there's much more to the story than that. There's a whole family dynamic. There's a whole tests that they did. All the tests that he just failed, and they failed, and they failed so that they could succeed up there. 3 of the astronauts, there was a fire in a cockpit, and that's all I'll say. And there's this one scene where Ryan Gosling hears this terrible news about something that happens to 3 his neighbors, and he's listening to it through the phone, and tears are just streaming down his eyes as his face is completely blank. And I was looking at this, and this is the moment when I realized he is such a grounded person. He feels like a real person. It doesn't feel like Ryan Gosling behind a camera crying. It feels like Neil Armstrong just heard terrible news and he starts crying. And he reacts in a way that a human would. Because Neil Armstrong, the way Ryan Gosling portrayed him, is a very quiet man. And he's an introvert, the best way to explain it. He runs away from his wife a lot. He runs away from his kids. There's this one great scene where he doesn't want to tell his kids that he might not come back from the moon. He doesn't want to tell his kids that he might die up there, and his wife forces him to. And then he sits down with them, and it just shows that Neil Armstrong just kind of runs away from conflict with his family and stuff like that, and I thought that was awesome. And it's such a grounded approach to such a grand spectacle. And that's not saying that the visual effects aren't grand. They put so much work into the visual effects in this movie. When they go onto the moon, which the 3rd act of the movie is just completely on the moon, it just feels real. It feels like you're on the moon. There's no green screens in this movie. They built sets of the moon, and then they would put these giant TV screens behind to portray what it would actually look like, to give some depth to the image. And because film, it all looks real, and it's insane. They built real rockets, even though they're smaller than real rockets, and they connected them to these kind of springs that would move around. I highly recommend you look up behind the scenes for this movie if you're interested in filmmaking at all, because it's super interesting. They connect the camera to these rockets, and they move these rockets around, and in the background they have this giant TV screen of the Earth, and you're just looking at it, it just feels real. And then whenever they're inside a rocket, the camera is shaking so much because that's real. In a spaceship, you're not gonna have a camera be in there and not move. Everything about it just feels so real. The documentary aspect of it, Ryan Gosling's performance, Claire Foy's performance, how it was shot, the visual effects, everything just feels so real. And it's just, mwah. I love it so much. I love this movie so much. And I don't want to say much more because I want you to go see it and experience it. The only thing I would say is that it is very quiet and very slow. Do not see this late at night. You will probably end up dozing off if you're not immediately engaged. I saw this with 2 other people, and one of the people started dozing off, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess that a lot of people are going to be trying. Well, we saw it at 11 o'clock at night, and it's a 2-hour and 30-minute movie with very little action in it, So I recommend seeing this movie earlier than that. But it's a great movie. It's a great story. I think most people will really like it. I recommend it. 8 or 9 out of 10, actually. Probably a 9 out of 10. Fantastic movie. I love it. Moving on. Oh, I just messed up my microphone. Did not mean to do that. Is everything all good? Everything's all good in the mic? I need water or something, but alas, I cannot because I'm stuck filming the podcast. We are going to talk about one of the dumbest movies I've seen in a long time. Venom. Venom. That awesome Eminem song that plays. I just took the gun from the background. The gun was the coolest thing in the background. As you can see, I'm a huge fan of Venom. I drew a accurate depiction of what he looks like because I have studied the character design and I really wanted to get it true. And my artist rendition, I added pupils because I felt like Venom, you need to look into his eyes to really understand his character. And with this picture that I painted, I think it really captures that Venom is more than just a turd in the wind. Except he's not, because the movie was awful. I'm so sorry. The movie was so bad. Come on. Seriously, I'm looking at the IMDb and the Rotten Tomatoes score. Not the critics score, because I know the critics scores are all going to be bad, and I like to have an opinion of my own, so I go watch the movie, and I think, this might not be that bad. Hopefully it's at least some fun. And a lot of people have said it. It's a lot of fun to them, and they really liked it. I'm so happy for you. I wish I could have been you. I really wish I could have liked this movie, because it would have been such a surprise. Because I have no faith in Sony. Sony has released The Amazing Spider-Man 2, a terrible superhero movie, one of the worst. They might as well have released Suicide Squad, but they didn't. This movie is this is the notes I have for Venom. So we have a lot to talk about. This is our main topic of discussion today. I'm very excited to talk with you about Venom. Most people really like this movie. It's insane to me. I thought this movie was going to be a huge financial success, but I didn't think anybody was going to actually think it was good. It's absolutely this year's Suicide Squad. Everybody knows it's not good, but a lot of people really like it. Critics hate it, but a lot of people, all the audience really likes it, and they really, really gravitated towards it. The Rotten Tomato score is currently 30%, which is very fair, in my opinion. I think it should be lower than that, but it's sitting at a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, which is extremely high for this type of movie. But, what the? Some AC just went on or something. I'm just going to ignore it. Hopefully, it's going to go away in a second. But I can't believe people are gravitating so much towards this movie. It shocks me. Good for you if you did. I'm not saying it's wrong if you did. I'm really glad you enjoyed the movie. I just don't understand why. I'm watching this movie, and I think, oh, there's things for people to enjoy here. And I get it. But I don't get why everybody loves it so much. You know, everybody I've talked to, I saw this with 4 people. All 3 of them said they liked it. One said it was okay, but they ended up enjoying it. And the 2 other really liked it. And which surprised me. I thought at least they were going to say, I know it's bad, but I liked it. Because I'm just watching this movie and I don't really understand what there's to like about it. I really don't. It has some funny lines. It has one good action scene out of like 5. One good one okay one. Tom Hardy brings some energy to the role, I guess. I don't know. The CGI is fine. The action's not exciting. The action's bad. I don't get why people like it so much. I don't think it's one of the worst superhero movies ever made. I don't think it's a lot of people. I was expecting when I walked in another Amazing Spider-Man 2 or another Suicide Squad. And even though this movie is this year's Suicide Squad, it's nowhere near as bad as either of those movies. Nowhere near. It's most comparable to something, as far as quality goes, not similar movies, to something like Batman vs. Superman or I don't know, Man of Steel or Wonder Woman. I don't know. DC sucks. Anyway, speaking of DC and Marvel, everybody who I've talked to thinks this is an MCU movie. Let me just clear something up for you right now. It's not an MCU movie at all. This is not an MCU movie. They threw in the Marvel logo in the trailers, which it is technically in association with Marvel, but it is not the same universe as Spider-Man Homecoming, not the same universe as the Avengers. This is its own solo movie, more connected to something like The Amazing Spider-Man. This is not Tom Holland. Tom Holland was never going to be in this movie. Do not think that this is an MCU movie. Please, they're trying to trick people. Sony is tricking people into thinking that this is an MCU movie because everybody I've talked to has thought it was an MCU movie. Tom Holland is not in this movie. I hate to disappoint you, but he is not. Okay, moving on. I have a lot of cons to talk about with this movie, and this time I will begin with the pros because there's very little and it's easier for me to remember. Pros. This movie wasn't complete garbage. It had some redeemable qualities that at least kept it a fun thing to watch in a so bad it's good way. Tom Hardy is a good comedic actor, and he brought a lot of life to the role of Eddie Brock and Venom because he voices Venom, which I didn't know until later. And you have their back and forth, again, the AC, whatever, ignore. They have their back and forth, which is really interesting, Venom and Eddie's back and forth. It is kind of funny at sometimes. Not my theater was laughing off the chain at all their lines, and I didn't think any of them were funny. I thought there were 2 lines that were funny between Eddie and Venom. I laughed twice in the movie, and the movie really tries to be funny. It's not dark, it is not scary, and that goes... oh my god, I'm going into cons. Every time I try to compliment the movie, it just turns into an insult. So really quickly, I'll just say the things I like. Tom Hardy, he was fine. If I'm going to commend this movie for something, there is not... Again, there I go. I was about to give it an insult. This movie does not do anything above okay. It does not do anything good. Nothing about this movie's good. And all of it is just fine. And then every element that isn't fine is horrible. I can't believe this got made levels of horrible. Everything else is just fine. Tom Hardy is fine. The first action scene in the movie, the one in the apartment where Eddie is first getting the Venom shooting out of his arms. It's been in every trailer where he's in his apartment and he's kicking the goons' butts or whatever. That action scene was pretty good. I thought that one was entertaining. It was fun. And then and then they go on to a huge car chase scene, which was dreadful. It was horrible. That went on for way too long. It was so silly. Again, here I am with the insults. Stay focused. The apartment scene was creative. Tom Hardy played a really good against my will sort of. You could tell that he was getting thrown around against his will and stuff like that. And I thought that was really well done. Again, I'm sorry. I have to go into a quick insult. This movie is... There's another movie that came out this year in 2018 called Upgrade. You might have heard of it, but Upgrade is a movie about It's a sci-fi action movie about this guy who is kind of discount Tom Hardy, who gets a chip put into the back of his neck. And he tries to go find his dead wife, and this chip takes over, and it turns him into a killing machine. And you might have all seen the trailers. Nobody really actually went to go see the movie, but you all saw the trailers. It's the one where the chip activates and the guy turns into a robot, and the camera tracks with him on his head, and then he fights the guy, and all that fun stuff. Upgrade is very similar to Venom, except Upgrade was made for less than $10 million, which is dirt cheap. Venom's a $150 million picture. Upgrade was $10 million, and Upgrade's action was some of the best action of the year, while Venom's was some of the worst. And there's two scenes. They're identical to each other. The apartment scene in Venom where he's first getting his powers, and there's an apartment scene in Upgrade where he first gets his powers. Note that Upgrade comes out much before Venom. came out much before Venom. Way before Venom. Came out so much earlier than Venom. Just want to clarify that. So, Upgrade. This guy finally has his chip activated, and then he fights this guy in his apartment, and it is one of the most fun action scenes of the entire year. And there's been a lot of action this year. I love Upgrade. I thought Upgrade was a great movie. It has a bunch of problems, but Upgrade's a great movie, and I suggest that you watch it because it's basically just better Venom. It's just a much better version of Venom. And I just want to say, there's nothing that Venom does good. It just all stems back to that. It doesn't do anything good. It does things competently, and that's it. I thought the VFX were good at times, and then at other times, they were complete garbage, especially in the last scene where Venom is fighting Riot. It was terrible. That was awful. The visual effects look good in most of the scenes. They look fine. There are some of the scenes where it just looks terrible, and there are some scenes where it looks good. So it was very dodgy, which is kind of a backhanded compliment, but a lot of hardworking people went into making the visual effects of Venom, and I appreciate them. I know that you worked really hard. I'm sorry that you wasted so much time on such a garbage script and such a garbage project. And last thing is, I just want to say, I know that a lot of people worked hard on this movie. I really want to make this a fair review, because I know a lot of people like this movie, and I know a lot of people worked hard on this movie, so I don't just want to hate on it and tear it to shreds. I want to make this, and I know that's what I've been doing. So from here on out, I'm going to be fair to the movie. Ruben Fleischer, the guy who directed Venom, has directed great movies. He's actually a really good director, and he wasn't really given anything to work with here. The script is the worst problem with this movie. It's horrible. It's total garbage. It's like it was written in 2001 and then it got made this year. You know, it's insane that it got made, but Ruben Fleischer is a competent director, and he tried his best with this movie. Tom Hardy really cared about this movie, and it shows, and everybody else just kind of went in for a paycheck. But the main problem with this movie is Sony. Sony just kind of screwed it up from day one. You know, they gave him this terrible script to work with, and they get Tom Hardy, a really great actor, and they don't let him do his best work. Tom Hardy has said in an interview his favorite scenes from the movie are the 40 minutes that got cut out, because there was 40 minutes of this movie that were cut entirely, because this movie had an R rating, and then it went to a PG-13, and those 40 minutes of R-rated scenes were cut out. This movie should have been rated R. I know everybody's saying that, but yeah, this movie should have been rated R. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I want more violence in my movies. I'm saying, if you're going to show a giant black monster bite somebody's head off, show it. Don't cut away at the last second. There's this scene in particular, or every scene where Venom kills somebody, they cut away right before he actually does it. And it's all PG-13, yay, happy, no blood, so we can show it to children and it can make a boatload of money. Not good. Make your movie rated R. Deadpool, Logan, Deadpool 2 have all shown that you can make a movie rated R and it be a financial success, if not even more of a financial success. And this movie's making a ton of money, but it definitely should have been rated R. I just want to say, really quickly, I know a lot of hardworking people worked on this movie. Good on you. It just didn't turn out good, and I'm so sorry that it didn't. I know this movie had so much potential, and it did not turn out good. Let's talk about what I did not like about this movie. I'm going to go through one by one all these points. They're all just kind of scrambled, so I'm going to try to link them together. But I already talked about how much people are liking this movie and the reception to this movie and how they trick you with the MCU logo and everything. Let's begin with the structure of the movie, the 3-act structure it has. A traditional movie structure for this type of superhero film is 3 acts. You have Act 1, which is the setup, Act 2, which is the conflict, and Act 3, resolution. Act 2 is supposed to be the longest portion of your movie. This movie's an hour and 50 minutes, so it usually is about an hour. The first act's usually about 30 minutes, and the last act's usually about 20 minutes for something like this, or 40-minute Act 1, 50-minute Act 2, 20-minute Act 3. This movie's Act 1 is an hour long. The Act 2 is 30 minutes long, and Act 3 is 20 minutes. I timed it because I got so bored. This is such a boring movie. For the first hour, I wanted to leave. It was incredibly slow. You don't see anything happen with Venom. The first apartment scene is in which kicks off Act 2, which is what the chunk of the movie, the majority of the movie is supposed to be, is not until an hour in the movie. You don't see any actual Venom action until an hour in the movie. And come on, Sony, I'm all for building a character and everything, but if you're not going to do it well, and your movie's point is to show Venom biting a bunch of people's head off, then just make the movie about that. Don't do this whole boring 1 hour setup of him with his girlfriend and him with his job. Show 30 minutes of that, and then show an hour of Venom, and then show 20 minutes of a generic fight scene at the end. This movie would have been fine if you did that. This movie could have been great, which is what this movie frustrates. I keep on saying this movie, but it frustrates me so much. It could have been so good. Venom could have been such a good movie if you got a good screenwriter and a good director. And Tom Hardy, keep Tom Hardy. He would have been great. This movie could have been so much better. You don't have to have a Spider-Man. A lot of people are saying that this movie isn't good because Venom solely evolves around, or whatever it's called, revolves around Spider-Man and how much he hates Spider-Man. Apparently that's the original character. Cool. You don't need Spider-Man. You can do a really cool solo movie. Make Venom a villain. Make him a villain and make Eddie Brock and him battle it out with their moral compasses, and just have Venom killing these innocent people, and Eddie Brock's like telling him to stop and everything, and then they kind of slowly have this back and forth. Don't make it about an evil Elon Musk who sends a spaceship up, grabs a bunch of aliens, crashes the spaceship, they all get out, then aliens go up and they send spaceships back to, I don't know. Oh God, this frustrates me. The movie's plot is so confusing. There's so much going on, and none of it makes any sense. The bare minimum makes sense. If you look into it at all, if you stop for a minute and think, wait, does that make any sense? It doesn't. Trust me, it doesn't make any sense. I didn't write down any examples, and I know that I have to be very thorough because a lot of people like this movie, and if I don't get everything right, then I'm attacked at my opinion being wrong because it's not valid or anything. So I'm not going to give any specific examples except for a couple, but none of this movie makes sense. The bare minimum makes sense. I don't understand why they didn't just make a movie about a down-on-his-luck guy, a down-on-his-luck reporter. You sure, keep in the fact that he loses his job. He loses his job, and then this meteor comes down, because that's what the original Venom thing is. It's a meteor, not a Elon Musk spaceship. Comes down and crashes into Earth, and then the symbiote gets out. He finds Eddie, because they're the perfect host or whatever, and they become Venom. Eddie has been battling with depression or whatever, and Venom and him kind of team up, and they start killing these innocent people. They're doing whatever they want. Eddie's kind of depressed, He's so down on his luck. They start killing these innocent people. They're doing whatever they want. Because Venom is a villain, not a superhero. Sony's marketing of this movie, the tagline of this movie is, "The world has enough superheroes." And Venom is just a superhero in the movie. He's not a villain. And they marketed it as if Venom was going to be a villain. Oh. Make a movie about a depressed guy, Eddie Brock, a depressed reporter. The Venom comes down, they start killing innocent people, and then Eddie kind of realizes this is wrong, and the true villain of the movie is Venom. Because you still have to have that sort of hero-villain aspect with the basic movie structure like this. And it could have really worked because Eddie is then battling Venom. Not literally fighting, they are emotionally battling. And Venom goes around, he's starting killing these people and everything. Eddie wants him to stop, and then he has to fight his own personal demons. And then by the end of the movie, they both come to a common agreement that they will be an anti-hero instead of just a straight-up villain, you know? Because Venom, again, still is a villain. And you can't have a happy ending with a villain if it's a villain, because he's a bad person who does bad things. So have it be a triumphant moment for Eddie's character, that he finally has control over his own life or something like that. He doesn't have any of this control, and the movie builds up to him and Venom, and they fight about the fact that the whole movie would be about control, you know? And I don't know, I just thought of that on the spot. That's my rewrite for Venom real quick, but I just thought of that on the spot, and I don't know. I think it would have been a more engaging movie if it was just about Eddie and Venom, not about all these stupid side characters and these side subplots and stuff like that. Let's go into some of the awful characters, you know. We already covered the structure. It's so boring, and then it gets so incredibly bad that it's funny for the last 50 minutes, so look forward to that. But the first hour is extremely boring, which is not something that it should be in a superhero movie. The plot, again, I don't want to go into specifics because it bores me just talking about the plot of Venom. Because there's so much going on, it's so hard to remember. This movie's so forgettable, because I saw it opening night, and it's, 20 days after, something like that, and I've forgotten a lot about the movie. I don't remember a lot about the movie besides that how bad it was, you know? So, what I want to talk about is some of the characters. Now, we have Michelle. I'm going to be focusing on 2 or 3. Yeah, 2. Riz Ahmed, who plays Riot, the villain in the movie, and Michelle Williams, who plays Eddie Brock's ex-girlfriend in the movie. Both horrible characters, and both give horrible performances. Not one person in this movie is good besides Tom Hardy. And Tom Hardy isn't even good. He's just okay, you know. But Riz Ahmed plays Riot, or at least the evil Elon Musk dude. And he's just such a one-note character. There's nothing about him besides the fact that he's evil Elon Musk. That's it. He gives monologues about how the world needs more knowledge and stuff like that, and how he shouldn't suppress knowledge. And then he just turns into a big gray goo monster and fights a big black goo monster, and then the movie's over. There's no reason why we should care if Riz Ahmed's villain wins or not, if he succeeds his goals. There's no reason why we should be rooting against him, you know? He's barely in the movie. There's very few scenes with him actually as Riot. He's just evil Elon Musk. That's all he is. There's no reason that we should care about anything that's happening in the movie, you know? And Michelle Williams' characters, jeez. Let's talk about that weird she-Venom scene. Here is a quick... No, I don't want to get into spoilers yet. I'll save that for later, because I want to talk a bit about the movie, and then I'll get into spoilers. But Michelle Williams' character plays Eddie Brock's ex-girlfriend, and she could not be more boring. She tries to help out and everything, but there's no reason for her to be in the movie. You know, she does a bunch of things, but none of it feels earned, and a lot of it's just weird. Again, I'll get to... some of you know what scene I'm talking about, the she-Venom scene. It's just weird, you know, and we'll get to it in a minute. But Michelle Williams' character is so boring, so boring. She just kind of runs around, and she's like, Eddie, don't do this. And then he does, and she's like, oh, I'm breaking up with you. And then I'm going to fumble around. Eddie, I want to help you on your little mission now with your Venom thing, because I'm interested for some reason. And I just want to think, because I have to be in the movie, because we need a strong female character. No reason for her to be in the movie at all. No reason. Besides that one scene that we will get to. No reason. It frustrates me so much. She's such a bad character, such a bad performance, such a one-note character. I don't understand. Her line delivery was terrible. There's one scene where Venom says, leaves her behind after she does the thing in that weird scene that we'll get to in a minute. I know I'm being very vague, but I don't want to spoil it because I found it hilarious that this was in a movie that I was watching. But Venom says, "Not today," runs away from her, and she goes, "Oh, come on," like in the most cheesy way. I don't get why she was in the movie. I seriously don't. And one of the things I realized about the movie, she says, like, "Oh, come on," like it's an early 2000s superhero movie or like an early 2000s action movie. This movie felt so dated. Not the visual effects or the cinematography or the action or anything, but the writing and the characters, it all felt so dated. Like, it was also cheesy, and not intentionally. Some of it was intentionally cheesy, but a lot of it was just it was just stupid. It was just dumb. You were listening to it, and it's like, this belongs in a movie that came out 18 years ago. Not in a movie that comes out in 2018. We've grown so much since then as far as superhero movies go. We have Avengers Infinity War, which is one of the best superhero movies in my opinion. I really love that movie. And while the dialogue, it took a while for me to get into it, it doesn't feel dated. It feels, it's all cheesy Marvel dialogue, but it feels right for that universe. This just kind of feels like it belongs in a direct-to-DVD superhero movie. It's so dated. It's so strange. I don't know how this got made. Yeah, the main problem with this movie is the script. It's all over the place. It feels like it was just, there's 3 writers or 4 writers of this movie, and it feels like they all just wrote one draft, a first draft of a movie. They all threw it together and they handed it to Sony, and it's like, here's your script, thanks for your money, and then they just left, you know? They didn't try at all. It's so apparent that they didn't try at all. It was such a cash grab, such a quick money cash grab. I almost want to call it a scheme, because that's all it is. It's just slimy studio execs trying to get money the fastest way possible. They look at Venom, they think this guy's profitable, and they make the laziest movie. I don't think studios realize, even though audiences love this movie, critics' opinions matter on how your movie sells. And if your movie's good or not, if your movie's good, it's going to be remembered for a long time. Imagine if the Lego movie was bad. It wouldn't be remembered, right? A couple people would have liked it, and a lot of people would have went to see it, but nobody would have remembered it, you know, and it wouldn't still be making money that it is today. And I'm looking at this purely from a business perspective. Venom is horrible, and critics don't want to see another one. Audiences do, but critics are just going to tear it to shreds, and it's just all going to be, if you make a good movie, it's going to be remembered, and it's going to go down as this great movie that you can watch over and over again. Venom is just bad. It's just, you're not going to, I seriously don't know at this point if they're going to make a sequel. I guarantee you they will. I just contradicted myself there, but I don't know at this point if they're going to make a sequel. They probably will. I mean, they teased at it in the end credit scene, which was horrible. The end credit scene was terrible. And it was just, it's a mess, you know. And speaking of messes, the tone of the movie, it tries to be a buddy cop adventure while also being this kind of gritty, dark, scary movie, while also being a horror movie, while also being a comedy movie. And none of it works. Some of the jokes are okay, I thought. There was 2 times I laughed in the movie. One was an elevator joke, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't even find it funny anymore. Like, now that I'm thinking back to it, and I was like, I laughed in the theater. It's not funny anymore. It just didn't stick with me. And there's this one other joke where Venom's like, let's bite all their heads off and put him in a corner, and Tom Hardy's like, why would we do that? Very scared. I thought it was just a funny line delivery. I don't even think it's funny anymore. This movie's not funny. A lot of people think this is the funniest movie of all time. It's not. It's just, all the jokes are so dated. All the dialogue is so dated. The dialogue's horrible. Horrible. And I know that to a lot of people that doesn't matter. Dialogue is something that's very important to me. Very important in movies. When I'm writing scripts, I'm trying to make sure the dialogue sounds real and it has a purpose. In this, again, it just feels like 3 people wrote a first draft for a script and then they're just like, done. We're done. I have 2 examples of a line that most of the lines in the movie are just bad. They're just fine and then they're just bad. There are the exceptional horrible lines, and I have 2 examples. First off, like a turd in the wind. Why? Why would Venom say that? I know Venom's kind of a goofy character. I know he's not supposed to be this big scary monster. He's supposed to be this kind of goofy character. But like a turd in the wind? Really? God. Here's absolutely probably the worst line in existence of all time in any movie ever. It was Tom Hardy gets his leg fixed. He had a broken leg, and then it heals itself. Venom heals it. And he walks around, and he looks down at his leg, and he says, and I quote, word for word, "Oh, my leg was broken, and now my leg isn't broken. This is incredible." This is the level we're talking about, guys. It's shocking that this movie got made. Seriously, I know Sony's kind of a hacky company, but this script, and as I'm talking about it more, I just like it less and less. This script is just so bad. I can't believe they invested $150 million. I think I honestly could sit down and I could write a better script than that in a week. This script feels like it was written in one afternoon. It's shocking. It's such a tonal mess. The jokes are bad. The plot is so stupid. It seems so dated. I can't believe it got made. I'm getting tired thinking about it. Oh. I'm going to look through these notes really quick. The PG-13 rating, it should have been rated R. I mean, if you're going to show somebody's head getting bit off, show it. Don't imply that it's happening and then cut away at the last minute. Just show it. Come on. Seriously. The characters. The 2 main characters are Eddie and Venom. They have a good banter back and forth, even though they're played by the same person. But they're not good characters, because not one of them changes. Oh, okay. I guess Venom does change, but it all happens off screen and for no reason. Venom's arc, this is kind of a spoiler, but it doesn't even matter that much. Venom comes down, he's a villain, and then he kind of turns to a hero at the end. Seems like a good arc, except it's not developed at all. All right, let's just go into spoilers. All right, we're going to go into spoilers, skip to this time code where we're going to be wrapping up the podcast. If you don't want to hear spoilers, here we go. Venom is coming down to this earth, and he was going to try to take over the world with Tom Hardy's body. And then by the end of the movie, he's like, I have changed my mind. I want to go kill Riot because Riot's trying to do what I was trying to do earlier, and I just don't want to because I like your world now. And that's as far as it goes. I summarized it, and that's as far as the depth. That's the depth of it. There's one scene where he climbs up onto a tower and he looks over the city and he says, your world is pretty. I like it here. And I was like, cool, bro. And then that's it. That's the only scene. If we got a couple more scenes of Venom realizing that this world has some good in it, then it would have been justified. There's a scene right towards the beginning of the first act where they're running towards a rocket. And Venom says, to Eddie, I'm kind of like a loser, like you. I'm a loser on my planet, like you. And I was just thinking, everybody in the theater laughed and everybody loved it. And I was just thinking, here's a bit of a nitpicky thing. I don't want to get into nitpicks, but here's something I found funny. How does a black... Because they don't turn into symbiotes unless they have a host, right? So on their planet, they're just a bunch of goo, correct? Until they find a host. So how does Venom pick up on social cues? Like being a loser? And I know... Oh, sorry. And I know that could just be a joke. It's a joke. Throwaway joke. Fine. But then it gets... And this is where I have the real problem. At the end of the movie, Venom's like saying to Tom Hardy at the last scene, how do we tell good people from bad people? And then I thought, bro, how do you know if you're a loser or not? How do you know what a loser is and everything if you don't know what a bad person is? none of it makes any sense, you know? It's just so lazy, and everybody's appreciating it and giving it so much credit that it doesn't deserve. You know, if we keep on doing this, we're voting with our wallets that we want more of this kind of garbage, that we want more lazily written, lazily shot, lazily acted schlop, you know? It's insane to me. The character arcs, Eddie Brock's character doesn't change at all. At all. Venom's character does change, but it happens off screen, and it's not justified at all. So there's no character arcs, something that you need in characters. And I guess, you know, since we're talking about characters, let's talk about that one weird scene with Michelle Williams that has been memed to oblivion now. So Venom gets detached from Eddie, and then Eddie's about to get killed, you know. And then Venom comes back in the form of Michelle Williams, and it's this she-Venom. It's this really weird-looking she-Venom, which I know is only there for DeviantArt people. You know, it's only there for the fan fiction people. And then the Venom kills the people that are going to kill Eddie. They don't show any of it. They don't show any blood, you know. And then she makes out with Eddie. This Venom kisses Eddie. Now, I don't know if Venom is a guy or not. I don't know if Venom has a gender. But that's gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, Seinfeld. But that's like the first gay kiss in a superhero movie. Good job, Venom. You did it. You had the first gay kiss in a superhero movie. It was so weird. She comes up to him. She makes out with him. Venom goes back into Eddie's body. And then Eddie's like making out with Michelle Williams. And it was so weird. It was just... It was funny. I was laughing super hard at how weird that was. But... Yikes. What's next? What is next? Venom looks super silly. You know? And... like his character design. Not the movie. His character design looks really dumb. Come on. Everybody's been saying how cool he looks. Every friend I've hung out with and talked about with this movie says it's one of the coolest things. It's such a cool visual effects design. He looks so stupid. I drew this to make fun of it. That's how I see Venom. Just like a turd. He looks literally like a turd. There's one scene where I think Venom looks good, and it's the scene where in the first trailer he goes, eyes, lungs, pancreas, so little snacks, so little time. Who are you? We are Venom. And then he eats him. That's the only scene where he looks good, because he actually has like a jaw and everything. Here's a weird nitpick. He doesn't have a jaw for the rest of the movie. It's all so blended together. They look like this the entire movie. That's what Venom looks like. He looks like a black turd that runs around with no neck and just kind of eats people, and it looked so stupid. It looked so dumb. He looked so silly. Come on. I seriously don't see what people see in this movie. It's not as bad as something like Suicide Squad or, even though I hate this movie, it's nothing as bad as Suicide Squad or The Amazing Spider-Man 2, because those movies are just boring, you know? This one at least has some so bad it's good elements that you can kind of point at it and laugh. And this movie has some good things in it, too, that keeps it from being completely worthless. But overall, this movie is just not good. And a lot of people have said it's not good, but I enjoyed it because it was so much fun to watch. I didn't even find any enjoyment out of it. It was just a void of anything. Just no effort was put into it. I'm just going through my notes seeing if there's anything left. The movie looks pretty bad. And this is just a quick thing about the cinematography. The same guy who shot Venom shot A Star Is Born. And I think A Star Is Born looks much better than Venom. A Star Is Born has great cinematography. It's just, again, going back to it, I didn't think the style was that great. But the cinematography is really well done. In this one, this movie looks terrible. It's like a green, schlocky, dirty look, which I guess is kind of the point, but it could have looked really nice. You had so much opportunity here. It just looks bad. And especially... oh my god, especially the third act fight between Venom and Riot. You can't see a thing that's happening. It's all just quick cut action of it was so bad. That last fight scene was terrible. You couldn't understand what was happening. It was just loud noise, just throwing everywhere, just loud noise. It was shot in the dark, so everything was just grainy looking. Venom looked terrible. All the action had no pace to it. It was just so thrown together. I'm glad that people like it, you know? I'm glad that people are enjoying it. Good for you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I get that there's some things to enjoy about it. I hope that everybody can respect that. I just really don't see anything of worth in this movie. It has some good things, but nothing even scratches the surface of good. Also, quick little rant about that Eminem song. Venom, 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 Venom. Thank God that played in the movie, because it was the funniest thing ever. That's a horrible song. Such a horrible ending. Let's talk about the ending scene. The ending shot, even. So Venom kills this guy who is robbing this lady, and he says, "We are Venom," and it covers his face, and he eats him. And I predicted the ending from a mile away. And I mean, because you see it in the trailers, and you're like, oh, well, no, I know what's going to happen, Sony. Why are you spoiling your movie? And it ends with Tom Hardy walking out of that store, and they walk up the street, and he's talking to Venom, and then he calls Venom a parasite, and Venom goes, "Parasite?" And he goes, I'm sorry. And then he says, "What should we do now?" And then Venom says, "The way I see it, we can do whatever we want." And it ends like a buddy cop movie, which is fine, because it kind of is a buddy cop movie. But it's so dated. This is the type of ending that they would have asked you to take seriously years ago. And now they're actually, again, if it's being parodied, that's awesome. That's funny. They're asking you to take it seriously. Like, this is our actual ending to our movie. And then it goes, Venom, 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 when the title screen playing, and I just laughed. It was so incredibly thrown together. The soundtrack, the music in the movie was not good. Again, it was so dated with that, like, like that electric guitar. Venom has a theme, which I like. I like it when characters have themes in a movie. I don't remember what the theme was, so that should tell you something. But the music I didn't think it was very well done. No offense to the guy who did it, but I just thought it was just all schlock. All of it was just schlocky. Oh, boy. Do I have anything else to say about Venom? Is there anything I missed? It was boring, bad villain, dodgy CGI, characters are bad, first act is boring, action is drawn out and choppy. All the action sucked. I'm just going to say that. The first apartment scene was actually pretty interesting. Then there's this huge car chase scene after that just goes on for so long. And every other scene is just quick cut, all thrown together. No blood, no consequences. Sony's mismarketing. They marketed it like it was going to be a villain movie, and it was really just another superhero movie. It was dated, weird kissing scene, and most of people's positives just come from the fact that this movie is not as bad as they thought it was going to be, or it's not as bad as The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's not a good thing. If you're comparing this movie to The Amazing Spider-Man 2 at all, it's not good. Unless you're saying it's the exact opposite of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which it isn't. That's just a fact that it isn't. Your movie's not good. Sorry, Ruben Fleischer. Sorry, Tom Hardy. You failed. You'll get him next time. Just kidding. Hopefully you never make another Venom movie. I really did not like this movie. 2 out of 10. I'm going to go see it again because my brother wants to see it, and I'm dreading it because I do not want to see this movie again. There are some funny parts in it that just got a chuckle out of me. Nothing redeemable. 2 out of 10. It's one of the worst movies of the year, probably the 5th worst movie of the year. I have a list. At the end of the year, we're going to be doing I'm trying to see 100 movies this year in theaters. I've seen 75 so far because I had Movie Pass and the Movie Pass shut down. So these last 25 movies are going to be kind of hard because I have to go pay for them and go to the movie theater and all that stuff. But Movie Pass, it's close to its deathbed. I still have Movie Pass. I still have my card. And if you don't know about Movie Pass, I'll go into it. And I'll you know what? I'm going to talk about Movie Pass the next episode because it's such an interesting story. But MoviePass kind of pays for your movies, and then you're thinking, what? That sounds good, too good to be true. And it was too good to be true for a long time, and then it shut down finally. And it actually worked for a long time, for almost a year, and then it just shut down. So it's not that great anymore. It's not working that well. But anyway, moving on from Venom, which I really do not enjoy. We're going to kind of wrap it up a bit. I just kind of want to talk about where Too Unlikely's going, my short film, and what the future of this channel is. Because a lot of people are wondering if I'm ever going to upload it again, which I am. And I'm super excited to announce. I'm going to get to the future of the channel really quick. I'm super excited to announce that we're actually making skits again. No more vlogs. No more vlog skits. We're actually just... all we're doing on this channel now is it's just a playground for me to mess around with my friends in a skit form. We're going to be doing written skits, starting with Dan and Randall, which Dan and Randall Teach the Youth, which is a cop show parody with me and my friend Keith, and we're making it. It is extremely funny. We started writing it. It's so funny, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's a cop show parody where we're going to be dressing up like cops. It's a bit racist. It's great. I love it. So that's basically what this channel is. This podcast is going to be going up every other week, and I'm going to try to upload one a week. I'm going to try to upload one video a week, and if not, it'll be one video every other week with skits thrown in. So Dan and Randall is going to be coming soon. That's the name of the show, and this is going to be something that reoccurs. If people like it, we'll be doing sequels to Dan and Randall and stuff like that. Other than that, we are going to just be making skits that are going to be super funny. I hope that you guys really like them. We're doing this podcast every other Sunday and then throwing the skits. And then I'm working on another short film already after Too Unlikely. And that's my life right now. Too Unlikely, where is it right now? I've submitted to 5 film festivals. And a film festival, mostly everybody knows what a film festival is, but it's basically... it shows in a theater, and a bunch of people go to attend it, and then judges judge it, and if you win an award, then your film has won an award, and it's awesome. So, film festivals that it's gotten into, I can say that my short film has gotten into a festival. That's so cool. It's gotten into the Culver City Film Festival, which is a film festival down in Hollywood, which is awesome. It's been submitted to 5 other festivals, and those 5 haven't gotten back to me yet because they haven't done the notification date yet. But the one that has notified me has said yes, and those 4 others I'm still waiting to hear back. So hopefully those 4 others say yes. Got some pretty big judges at some of these film festivals. The guys who directed Avengers: Infinity War will be watching Too Unlikely and will be judging it. And if it wins, hopefully I'll get to meet them. The fact that those words are coming out of my mouth is so cool. I love Too Unlikely. I know it's a bit of a short film that is a niche audience for it, but I'm so glad of the reception that I've gotten from it. Everybody's been super supportive of Too Unlikely. I'm so glad that most of you like it. It was a big journey, and it was a hard journey, but I'm so glad that I did it, and I'm so glad that it's getting into all these festivals, and it's been a great year. It's been a truly great year. And look at me, I'm all happy now. Now that I'm not talking about Venom, I'm talking about Too Unlikely, I'm all happy. Look at that. Yeah, Too Unlikely is doing really well. And it's getting places. And we're releasing I don't know if the documentary about it is coming out before or after this episode, but there will be a Too Unlikely documentary explaining how we made the film. It's about half an hour long, half an hour shorter than that, because yes, it is longer than actually the actual short film. That's because we're covering a whole 10-month period, because I made the film in 10 months in 30 minutes. So there's a lot to go over. I think the documentary is really compelling, and it really tells my story well. I'm super excited for you guys to see that, unless you already have seen it. Moving on, I just wanted to let you know that Too Unlikely is going places, and it's awesome, and thank you so much for all of your support. Moving on to The Making Of. The Making Of is a short film that I made for the Sacramento Film Festival. Sacramento is where I live, and it is, they gave us this challenge. They gave all these local filmmakers a challenge where you had 10 days to make a 10-minute short film. You had all these requirements and stuff like that. Me, Ryan Miller, and Johnny D'Agostino. Johnny D'Agostino was the first AD on Too Unlikely, producer for Too Unlikely. He was the co-writer of Within, all that fun stuff. He's a very close friend of mine. He's my partner in filmmaking. And Ryan Miller, my acting friend. My friend, and he's a great actor, truly great actor. And I give out like 3 compliments a year, so you're welcome, Ryan. We took this idea of me and Johnny's life, which is filmmaking, and how we make our films, and we kind of twisted it to where, what if we didn't get support with our filmmaking? What if our families didn't support our filmmaking? And we wrote this short film called The Making of in one day. Wrote the entire thing, because we only had 10 days, so we wrote the entire thing in one day. Ryan, and Johnny took one day, wrote the entire thing. Just gotta clarify that. Then me, Ryan, and Johnny produced this short film. Me and Johnny directed it, and Ryan starred in it. So we shot it over the course of a couple days, and it turned out amazing. I really like it. It's my second favorite short film I've made. It's my second favorite work, following Too Unlikely, because that's just my baby, you know. It went to the Sacramento Film and Music Festival, competed against 25 other films, which is insane that it even got in. 25 other films from local Sacramento filmmakers. We went to the IMAX theater in September, and we watched all of them. And there were some really great ones in there, and ours played, and I really had, and you could tell the audience really enjoyed the film, which was a huge relief. It came in second place out of 25 for the Judges Award and the Audience Award. And I have this medal right here. I'm about to flex on you all real quick with my cool filmmaking medal. We also went home with 2 awards that night. We got Best Actor and a Writing Award. It's a specific writing award, but it's a writing award. Me, Johnny, and Ryan went home with 2 awards that night. Ryan got Best Actor, and me and Johnny got this writing award. How awesome is that? Our little short film that we made in 10 days, we won an award. It's been shown around at the school. The link, it's not on this YouTube channel. The link will be in the description, actually, to where you can find it, because I didn't want to upload Too Unlikely and then upload the making of right after. So, and Too Unlikely is going to festivals. Making of has won 2 awards for a specific festival. And it's been going really good right now. And I'm really excited that my filmmaking has been finally started to take off. I'm going to wrap it up real quick, because I've been talking for a long time, and I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing my voice. Today's the 28th that this is getting released. So, again, it'll be released, episode 2 will be released 2 weeks from now. I have no idea what I'm talking about yet, but I'll have, I think, 1 or 2 guests on to talk with me, and hopefully that'll be more fun instead of me just kind of rambling on for an hour and a half. Yikes! I'm so sorry you've had to listen to me for that long. Jeez. Yeah, it's almost Halloween. Awesome. I love Halloween. It's my second favorite holiday. I'm a Christmas man myself, but Halloween for movie recommendation. Sure, I'll recommend a movie for Halloween. I recommend you watch Hereditary, because it's a truly great horror movie. And sure, go ahead, watch the Halloween, Friday the 13th part 4, The Shining, The Thing, and The Exorcist. Watch one of those movies. They're all great, all fantastic. The original Poltergeist. That's a favorite of mine too, even though I know that's not a great movie. That shook me to my core when I was in 6th grade. Now it's just kind of cheesy, but it is a good movie. I want to thank you all for watching. 2 weeks, I'll be back, and Dan and Randall will be uploaded soon, probably around November 2nd or something around that area, but I can't wait to start making videos again, and I can't wait for you guys to see my next short film next year. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the Opinionated podcast. You've been a great audience. Next week, we have Jonah Hill as our host, Cardi B as our musical guest, and live from New York, it's Saturday night, again with the AC. Are you kidding me? Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Opinionated podcast. I'm Nolan Eckberg, and I'll see you next time.